Greetings, Athenian community. Eric Niles here. As you can tell from my backdrop, my overarching feeling is one of gratitude. It's in the most trying moments in our life when we discover the power of our community, and I just want you to be really clear how thankful, how humbled I am to be part of the Athenian community and all the support that has come from all of you and from other places during this summer. Needless to say, we paid very careful attention to the governor's announcement late last week about the opening of school. Let me try to explain a little bit to all of you about where we are. The governor was really clear that schools would not be permitted to open in particular counties until their county met certain health thresholds for COVID. There's a watch list in California, and most counties, including Contra Costa County, are on that watch list. There are 6 factors that determine whether you're on the watch list. Interestingly, Contra Costa County actually passes 5 of those factors. It is one factor that the county currently fails that keeps it on the watch list, and that's the total average of new cases for the last 14 days. And that average, in order to come off the watch list, needs to be under 100 for 14 consecutive days. And currently our average is somewhere between 100 and 200. You all know from your time in school as well, from studying averages, that averages take time to come down. So even if all the measures we're putting in place and people's behavior, which by the way, I'm noticing is more serious about safety measures, even if all those things drive our numbers down, it's going to take a bit of time for the average to come down, for us to come off the watch list, and then we're going to need to be off that watch list for 14 days before we can open school again. That was a long way of me telling you that we anticipate, given all that we will be in distance learning for the beginning of the school year. It's not the answer I wanted. It wasn't the answer I anticipated early in the summer. But as I watched the trends from my office this summer, I understood that it was a likely outcome. We need together as a school and a broader community to find ways to bring those numbers down and get our kids back into school. I want to assure you that our distance learning will be exceptionally powerful again this fall. Many of you gave us feedback last spring about how strong it was, the great work that our students and our teachers did together in distance learning. As a matter of fact, we've even done a video to talk about the shift we made from in-person to distance learning last spring, and that will come out soon. I want to let you know that along with the good work we did last spring, we have the wisdom of what we learned last spring in distance learning and time for reflection and some additional professional development this summer to make sure that our distance learning is the best that it can be. I was with an Athenian upper school science teacher just yesterday, and I was asking her what she was doing on campus. She said she was putting together lab kits for students to actually come to school and pick up and bring home, assuming that we would be in distance learning. And I was struck that that's the spirit of the entire Athenian School faculty, which is that when we move to distance learning, we don't compromise on what we think a great education is. A great education is engaging, it's experiential, it's hands-on, and we will continue to do those things in distance learning and until we can legally and safely bring students back to campus. Let me talk for a moment to our boarding families, because I know this is a particularly anxious time, particularly our international boarding families. Many of you are emailing us and calling us and asking us when you think or when we think we'll be able to have boarding students back in our dorms. Our honest answer is we don't know right now. It's not something that the governor explicitly talked about, but it is something we are asking about, we're continuing to plan about, and I promise you we will be in contact very shortly, and we are doing everything in our power, much like colleges are as well, to bring our students back to campus life. Please stay tuned for more information on that. And then finally, many of you are wondering about the daily schedule for next year. I know I had promised it to you a couple of weeks ago, and then the ground moved underneath us. So we pushed that date out a bit. We promise now that by the end of this month, by July 31st, you will get a Loom video from both Amy Wintermeyer and Lauren Raley explaining our daily schedule for the fall. We wanted to make sure that that was a daily schedule that was most powerful for distance learning, that would allow us to make a shift into what I'll call a lower volume number of students on campus, and then again, I hope, a time when all of our students are back on campus again. I want to assure you, as we do our work to get ready for distance learning, that we have not slowed our preparations for getting the campus ready for when students can return here. I won't repeat all the things I've told you in prior videos, but we're bringing modular classrooms on campus. We're creating outdoor classrooms, purchasing all sorts of safety supplies, and doing a complete safety plan to be ready. And I want to thank you all for your flexibility in as we've thought about these times, and your well wishes during the summer, and quite frankly, your generosity. I want to call out one family right now. There was a family that gave us a very generous gift to help us defray the costs for opening school again in the fall when that moment comes. And those costs will be substantial. They're not costs we've hesitated about, because we know it is our duty as a school to try to open school and open it up safely. But that gift will allow us to do that with much more comfort. And I want to say thank you. And even as we plan, I want to make sure that you're all planning very mindfully at home as well. You'll notice in the written message that accompanies this video that there's a link to the new COVID page on our website. That is chock full of new resources for all of you. Again, I won't list them all here, but for instance, there's a page that talks about masks and how to buy the right mask, which masks won't be appropriate, how to fit that mask for your child, and start getting used to wearing a mask, which we will have to whenever we get to return this fall. There's another page on hand washing. That may seem like a simple task, but actually we all could learn some lessons about appropriate hand washing. I always thought, for instance, that hot water mattered a lot. It doesn't. What matters is how carefully we wash and the time we do washing. As you look at those resources and you think about your planning, remember our mantra, our simple mantra for the fall: face, space, hands, and home. If we can do that together, we can create a safe community and we can get our kids back on campus. Let me put an exclamation point on the home part. What you do at home will matter as much as whatever we do at school. So please read that website, start getting prepared for the fall, and together, let's start driving that average under 100. Thank you all for all you do. We'll be back in touch soon.